The Ottoman Empire.
Here is our group. We are three hardworking individuals who strive for success and for happiness.
Room 1.
The Theodosian Wall in Istanbul is the current remains of the defensive walls of Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantine Empire was conquered by the rising Ottoman Empire. After besieging the city for 55 days, the Ottomans reached the ancient land walls and captured the capital.
Room 2. The rise of the empire.
The early Ottomans used the bow and arrow in their conquest over the Christian Byzantine state, therefore contributing to the expansion and spread of the Ottoman Empire. Early Ottoman people were mainly Islamic Turkish warriors and went by the name of Ghazi, Arabic for raider. The Ghazi were highly respected and among their battles defeated the Byzantines and then the Mongols. Ghazi valued military victory and preservation of their religion, Islam. As the Ottoman Empire started to grow, they attracted thousands of uprooted Turkmen. This strengthened and diversified the Ottoman power, which led them to be one of the most powerful empires in Eurasia. A silver coin, Aceh, stamped with Osman's name signifies his self-declaration as the independent leader of a large number of Turkish tribes. It became a tradition among later Ottoman leaders to have their names stamped on an Aceh as a symbol of power. The Turkish tribes that Osman ruled would later grow to become the first people of the Ottoman Empire, with Osman as the founder. The Aceh was also established as the main monetary unit of the Ottoman Empire, showing their advancements in finance and technology. Under Osman's leadership, the Ottomans secured a significant portion of the Byzantine land and most of Anatolia. The border between the Mongols and Seljuks was the most vulnerable, but an extremely important area in creating the building blocks for a powerful empire.
The fourth artifact showing the rise of the Ottoman Empire were the cannons. Shown in the image here is the Dardanelles gun. Cannons were a major cause that allowed the Ottomans to succeed in taking over the Byzantine Empire, which in turn allowed them to find great success. The Dardanelles gun was built by an iron founder and engineer by the name of Orban, which was used by the Sultan Mehmed II to break down the walls of Constantinople and conquer the city. The conquering of Constantinople was a major turning point in the Ottoman Empire, as this allowed them to rise further. Cannons also enabled Sultan Selim to defeat the major Iranian threat of the Safavids in 1514.
The Hagia Sophia was built by the Ottomans after their victory over the Byzantines and shows the Ottomans' attempt to strengthen and expand the empire. In 1453, Sultan Mehmed II led over 250,000 Ottomans to conquer Constantinople. The siege lasted a few weeks and the Byzantine Empire fell. Mehmed proceeded to rename the city Istanbul and build the Hagia Sophia. The Hagia Sophia is a mosque that replaced the Christian church. Mehmed's main goal after conquering Istanbul, formerly Constantinople, was to restore the culture and trade there. Although the Hagia Sophia is an Islamic mosque, Mehmed also strove to encompass the cultural and religious needs of new people in the Ottoman Empire. This inclusivity among the empire allowed for it to be extremely diverse and powerful across Eurasia.
Room 3.
The height of the Ottoman Empire is generally considered to range from the years 1481 to 1566. The first artifact showing the height of the Ottoman Empire is the Tavari-i-Ali Osman, or the Chronicles of the House of Osman. These documents were written by Ibn Kamal, a scholar of the Ottoman Empire during the height. Ibn Kamal documented the events of the empire, starting from Bayezid's rule in 1481 to the Battle of Mohacs in 1526. This time period from 1481 to 1526 is known to be the early half of the Ottoman Empire's peak due to the achievements made within the empire. This book is considered to be Ibn Kamal's most important work as a scholar, as well a great example of Ottoman literature written during the Golden Age. It provides the most original and important source material for their military, religious, political, and economic achievements of that time, such as the defeat of the Hungarians in the Battle of Mohacs, as well as the religious practices brought back into the empire by Sultan Bayezid. The second artifact showing the height of the Ottoman Empire is the Mosque of Suleiman. The Mosque of Suleiman was created by the architect Sinan from 1550 to 1557 in honor of the Sultan Suleiman. Suleiman received the title of Suleiman the Magnificent in the west and Suleiman the Lawgiver in the east due to his bold military campaigns and the developments in art, literature, and as shown here, architecture during his reign. Modeled off the Hagia Sophia, the mosque shows the architectural ingenuity of the Ottomans in their golden age, as well as the importance of Islam in the empire. Next up, we have the naval fleets of the Ottoman Empire. Throughout the golden age of the Ottoman Empire, their powerful navy was used to win key battles and defend territories. Under Bayezid II, naval control of the Mediterranean Sea allowed them to defeat Venice in the Venetian War from 1499 to 1503, showing for the first time the true power of the Ottoman navy. Under Selim I's rule, the navy was used to counter Portuguese efforts to stop Europeans from using certain trade routes. Finally, under Suleiman's rule, the navy was used to defend against Venetian and Genoese fleets, sealing the Ottoman naval supremacy in the Mediterranean Sea for the next 3 decades.
Room 4.
Artifact number 1 is the Treaty of Zitzvatorok Memorial. The Treaty of Zitzvatorok Memorial was built in 2006, marking the 400th anniversary of its signing in the exact same location. It ended the 15 Years' War between the Ottoman Empire and Habsburg monarchy in 1606. The Ottomans' inability to conquer the Habsburg territory was one of its first geopolitical defeats. It is part of the beginning of the Ottomans' decline in power. To the right is the memorial of the peace treaty that stands in current-day Slovakia. The second artifact is the first printing press. The first printing press in the Ottoman Empire was allowed 200 years after it was first banned. The Tulip era of the early 18th century marks the modernization and cultural innovation of the Ottoman Empire. The first printing press of the region appeared in 1727. This period was relatively peaceful and was considered the Ottoman Industrial Revolution. It led to internal conflicts amongst people who wanted more modernization to become like countries in Europe. The Seal of Lausanne is the third artifact. The seal of the Treaty of Lausanne was signed in 1923 at the end of the Ottoman Empire, which of the remaining territory became Turkey. The Treaty of 1923 marks the end of the Ottoman Empire and the emergence of the new Republic of Turkey. In it, they gave up what was remaining of the empire from the Treaty of Sevres, where large parts of their territory were given to France, United Kingdom, Greece, and Italy. The peace treaty defined the borders of the now country Turkey, and in return, the Allies recognized the sovereignty of the territory.
Room 5.
After the events of World War I, the Ottoman Empire was forced to dissipate. In its present-day form, it is known as the country of Turkey, located in Anatolia.
Thank you for listening.